Welcome back to the Panic Room, everyone, and to a anime manga review today. Before we get started, nobody say anything about my hair. I'm still getting used to this wig, alright? I'm not used to big puffy curls, that's not really me, but I really miss having long hair, so we're gonna roll with it. So, today I thought I would do, I don't know, I might call this video like the nerd review or something. Because we're gonna be talking about a ton of Junji Ito, at least, yeah, 3 Junji Itos. We're going to be talking about some Avatar: The Last Airbender, and we're going to be talking about some Locke and Key. So, settle in. So let's start with this massive chunker, the Locke and Key Compendium. Yes, it is huge. I actually was thinking like maybe this is one of those that could be for Mammoth March. I think that's a thing. You guys know I don't really do a whole lot of like events and stuff, but I thought this could be like for Mammoth March if like graphic novels are okay for that. I'm not sure because it's 968 pages, I'm pretty sure. But it is beautiful. Look at this. I can't hold it up forever because it's really heavy. But look at that. Isn't that beautiful? You guys know I'm a sucker for artwork. So this was sent to me by Dave and Olive, BC, before cancer. And since I've had so much time, I actually got through it. So I want to say, and you comic book people, you let me know in the comments, does a compendium mean like all of the editions of the comic? Because I think this is a complete story, so I think that's what this is. And it was really awesome. I loved reading from start to finish in this, you know, because I feel like you get really more into the story without having to like go buy another issue. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. And I'll tell you guys, after I got done, because Dave and Olive had said something about how the show was a little bit more teeny bopper than this graphic novel, and I agree. Now that being said, I only watched the first episode. I can't say it held my attention very well, but I am usually more for the book than the show or the movie, usually. So take that for what it is. Granted, I only watched the first episode. Let me know down below if it gets better, should I stick with it? But I have to say, I loved this. There was intrigue, there's lots of mystery, lots of mystery. I feel like if you are into dark fantasy, you would love this. I really do, because like finding out all the different keys. Oh, and yeah, in the back of this, which I thought was really cool, in the back of this, it has like all the different keys and what they do. I thought that was really neat. Like my little wanting to know everything but their shoe size self was really into that. I loved that. But honestly, the characters in this, like Tyler, the older brother, is such a deep character. The sister, you know, not quite as deep, not quite as complex as Tyler, but I really enjoyed the complexities of the different characters. You know, they're dealing with grief, they're dealing with, you know, all this shit in the house about like finding keys and magic and stuff, and you know, there's a lot to it. There's really a lot to it. So I feel like if you have that element of fantasy love running through you, you're really gonna love this. And I highly recommend this edition, this massive chunk, because I really think like reading through it all together like this, you get, I don't know, more of a feel for the story, if that makes sense. I don't know. You know, I mean, I dabble in comics. I'm not a connoisseur. If you want a connoisseur comics, you can go check out Michael K. Vaughan. He's awesome at that. But yeah, I loved this. I really did. I think that if you were wanting to kind of maybe like try out Locke and Key, this would be awesome. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful, right? So let's get into the uber super nerdy book that I want to talk about today. If you've been here for 13 seconds, you know that I'm a huge fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender. And previously to the book that I'm talking about today, I've read the 2 novels by FCE, FCE about Avatar Kyoshi. And I was really excited to get into this one because this is the dawn of Yangchen. And she is an airbender avatar, like the one in the show, like Aang. You know, and again, I'm not going to go into the backstory. There's just too much there. But I really enjoyed this. I did. I will say that this one was a little bit drier than the Kyoshi books. I don't know if you weren't a huge fan of the series and you picked this up, I don't know if you would be super interested. You know, like this expounded on her world, and I really loved the little bits that you got into her mind. You guys know I love that. But there wasn't enough of that there. I feel like you got more into Kyoshi in those novels than you did into Avatar Yangchen. So I will say I loved this. Honestly, I love any reason to go back to a universe that I like. I just do. And I did enjoy this. There's a lot of like strategy, if that makes sense, like how she thinks in this book. So if you dig on that, you might love this. So Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Dawn of Yangchen. Okay, so let's really nerd out. This is why we're all here. This is why my heart people are here. Let's talk about Junji Ito. I mean, at this point, this is what, like my third video where I'm mentioning Junji Ito. What do you even say? What do you even say? Like, beautiful. Just beautiful art, intriguing stories. Yeah, absolutely amazing. So, Gaio, The Death Stench Creeps. That one was super interesting. This has almost like a biomedical feel to it. And I don't want to go super in depth because I don't want to ruin it. It almost has that like biomedical horror aspect, but at the same time, it's dealing with smell. Yeah, and kind of like the mental things that can do to a person. It's just really good. It's really good. You know, when I was reading this, I was thinking like, we don't think about smell being horrific. You know, you think about like eating gross things or seeing gross things or whatever, but like smell, you know, like I don't know, that just doesn't come off as like horrific to me. Like, oh wow, it stinks. You know, this was awesome though. This was really cool. But you guys know by now, I'm a huge fan of Junji Ito. He really can do no wrong for me. Very well told. And I feel like it kind of sort of touched on some big picture stuff, like what is the body, what constitutes a body, stuff like that. Like if you wanted to read into it, which I do all the time. So yeah, I really do recommend this if you are wanting to get into Junji Ito. This is a little bit on the lighter side, I think. It is horror, so keep that in mind. But this wasn't like, oh my god, you know, like couldn't get through it. So, Gaio, I think. Okay, now the next one really needs no introduction. Tomie. I feel like everybody, even if you don't follow like Junji Ito stuff, you've seen Tomie. You know, maybe editing me will pop some pictures up here. She is like the beautiful girl, but she's also terrible. She's evil in a lot of ways. But see, I had touched on some Tomie stories in some of the other collections that I've read, but this is the first time I'd ever had it all together. And there's so much more to her story, like some almost supernatural aspects to her story that I had no idea about. So I really loved learning about that. There were two stories in here, I think, that I had read previously in some of my other collections, because I have Shiver and Fragments of Horror, and those are short story collections. But there's so much more to Tomie. I'm gonna get a little bit personal here, just for a second. Actually, I'm gonna put this down because this is a chunk or two. Now, I am gonna get a little bit personal here, because Tomie, you know, she's this beautiful girl, you know, everybody loves her, and there's a lot more to it that I won't go into because I don't want to spoil anything. And you guys might think I'm insane, but while I was reading this, it really did hit me a little bit different than what I think it would have had I read it BC. Because I personally have been dealing with a lot of like body dysmorphia issues. There's a lot of things that have changed for me in a very, very short amount of time that I'm having to accept. And reading about this girl that is so beautiful, that everybody loves, but yet has this almost demonic nature to her, this shifting nature, it just, I don't know, it hit me weird. It really did. It hit me weird. So I'm not going to say that's a trigger warning because I don't think anybody else would get that. But I do think if you look at the story of Tomie and you see this like idea of beauty and how you perceive yourself and all of this, all of those elements are there. So if that's something that interests you, maybe give Tomie a whirl. Trust me, she's one hell of a girl. And the last one, I was totally not expecting. This is Frankenstein. This is beautiful. Just take in the cover. Just take that in. And yes, it is the story of Frankenstein. You know, we all know this story. But it's got Junji Ito's flair to it. And I really love how his twisted mind not only does the artwork... Actually, hang on. Take a look at our monster. Right? Awesome, isn't it? Now, there are other stories in here, and they're kind of all connected, and it's dealing with like other realms and other worlds surrounding this one kid's house, and it kind of all dovetails together because you find out that there's some scientific experimentation happening, which kind of goes really well with the Frankenstein thing. I highly recommend. If you were like me, like, I don't know if I'd have seen this. If I'd have been like, I already know Frankenstein, I don't think this would have been high on my list of Junji Ito to purchase. Do it. I really think you'll like it. The stories about the house and the happenings and how it connects to this other world, oh, so good. And it, like I said, it goes so well with the classic story of Frankenstein. This is one of those cases where you know what's going to happen, but you don't give a shit because you're here for the ride, and it's that cool. So, Junji Ito, Frankenstein. So guys, that is it. Another nerdy manga anime video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know it's not everybody's bag, but I had read a ton of these and I didn't want to talk to you guys about them. I really do think, especially in the case of Junji Ito, even if you're not a fan of manga or animes or anything like that, but you're a horror fan, give him a whirl. You're gonna love him. And of course, I'm a huge Avatar fan. I'll take any reason to talk about Avatar, and the Locke and Key Compendium is just too beautiful, and it was a really awesome story. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Comment down below, let me know if you've heard of any of these. Are you a fan of Locke and Key? Are you a fan of Avatar? Don't tell me if you're not a fan of Junji Ito. I just pretend that everybody loves him. And guys, of course, if you like this, please hit like, hit subscribe. It would really help me out. And until next time, bye for now.